To our broadcast this morning. We are broadcasting to you from 1818 Felt Street in Live Oak in Santa Cruz. This is the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Cruz, and my name is Reverend Alice Reed, and I am the spiritual leader here. And I'm so happy to welcome you to our very first broadcast from the sanctuary. We have a great service planned for you today. Our music will be Darland Amber. I just reversed her name. It's Amber Darland. And our speaker today will be, let's try this, Christopher Elijah. Actually, it's Elisha Christopher. Everything's changing now. So we are getting ready to move our broadcast back into the sanctuary. We will be able to invite people here soon, but we're still finding our way with this. I want to thank the staff who has come here today to help us to be able to do this broadcast here back at our center. We're on our way back to community, so hang with us. I'm so glad you're joining us this morning. I have this wonderful opening chant by an artist that goes by a single name, Leah, and she's from Washington, D.C., and she has this beautiful chant, so enjoy.
As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. Truth for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. Peace for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. Love for all right now. Let there be peace for all right now. Let's speak the truth to all right now.
We are part of a global movement, and that global movement is Centers for Spiritual Living. We are in countries all over around the world. We have many locations around the United States, and we have a centering statement that we'd like to share with you, and it's right there on the screen for you if you'll say this with me. We are a spiritually progressive community that transforms lives in the world through a philosophy of possibility thinking and responding to life with love. I have a couple of pieces for you. We have a quote that we're going to share with you. It's a beautiful Ernest Holmes quote that was put together with some graphics by Susan Springfield. And then Amber Darland will share her beautiful piece of music with you, and then we'll be here with Elijah. So enjoy.
Today's quote is by Ernest Holmes, and it can be found in The Essential Earnest. A religious scientist is not one who assures themselves that wrong is right, that evil is good, that limitation is freedom, that bondage is liberty, or that sickness is health. They do not claim that our objective experience is an illusion. They do make this claim, that behind the phenomena of human and material existence, behind the slow and persistent processes of evolution, there is, as Emerson stated, one mind common to all people. They claim that this mind is perfect and that they have access to this mind.
For the sun that warms this body, for the earth that we call home, for the love that knows no boundary, I am thankful. For the trees that line the mountains, for the sea and life it holds, for the source of inspiration, I am thankful. Love, light, life, fill me up. Peace, power, beauty, joy, fill me up. For the one infinite, divine that is and ever was, I am thankful. I am thankful. For abundance and growing, for the mystery unfolding, for each and every being, sacred truth we are knowing, for kindness and compassion and the courage to take action, for the law of attraction and the freedom to create. Love, light, life, fill me up. Peace, power, beauty, joy, fill me up. For the one infinite, divine that is and ever was, I am thankful. I am thankful. Love, light, life, fill me up. Peace, power, beauty, joy, fill me up. For the one infinite, divine that is and ever was, I am thankful. I am thankful. For the sun that warms this body, for the earth that we call home, for the love that knows no boundary, I am thankful.
Good morning. So I am incredibly grateful to be here in our center here at Center for Spiritual Living Santa Cruz, and I'm excited to just say hello to my community. I want to begin this morning, as we always do when we're together, by taking 3 deep breaths. So wherever you are and whenever you catch this, begin first with an exhale and take a deep breath in. And let go. Taking another deep breath in and letting go. And one more full deep breath in and letting go. So the talk title today is Just Breathe. And I want to say that first and foremost, when I first saw that in contemplating this talk, it gave me great pause. And those words have really made me think over the last number of days leading up to today. As our nation and now the world is chanting the last words of George Floyd, "I can't breathe." This came up to be today's topic. And I want to say first that in Centers for Spiritual Living, we've been cycling around shared themes, and that all of our centers around the nation for the last couple years have been collectively creating ahead of time the ideas that we're going to talk about. And one of the things that I'm always looking at are the alignments, are the ways when Spirit is whispering to us a deeper message if we're willing to listen. And today's theme was chosen maybe a year ago. And I find it absolutely almost kind of miraculous that this idea, just breathe, was the message that we sent ourselves for this weekend. And so I want to cycle around this idea first and foremost that the opportunity to just breathe is a privilege. As we look out into the nation, and as many of us across the world witnessed, as George Floyd's ability to breathe, his ability to even take a breath, was taken away. That every one of us who's still breathing need to look at the fact that we have the privilege to continue to breathe. And it's what we do with that breath, what we do in the moments moving from now, that makes a difference. I heard Reverend Alice say last year sometime in a talk that what we're seeing, and she was referring to much of a previous experience of racial injustice that had happened. And she said that what we are seeing right now are evidence of a history that does not deserve a future. And that as we see the world beginning to cry out for something different, I want to invite us to recognize that this is truly a magnificent moment of change. And I've been constantly looking for and looking through the metaphor. You know, many of us know that is one of my deepest practices, is if everything in life is a metaphor for everything else in life, then there's lessons for us absolutely everywhere. And in the last number of months, we've all been sheltered in place because of this experience of coronavirus, which has attacked the lungs of humanity. And people around the world have been struggling to breathe, dealing with this virus. And then from the center of that experience, another experience reflecting that same call has shown up, where we all witnessed a man speak the words, "I can't breathe." That this cry for breath has not only come from the planet, but it is now coming from our humanity. That there is a deep call emerging in the world right now for all of us to breathe together, to breathe into an awareness that indeed we are connected, that indeed there is only one of us here, and that one is God. That there is one collective race, the human race. We are all one family. And that we must address all of the lines of the world, all of the systems, all of the ways of doing and being that we've been participating in for so long that have not been working, if we actually want to move towards building a world that works, and indeed building a world that works for everyone. I believe it was Martin Luther King who said that if any one of us is not free, then none of us are free. That it absolutely takes every one of us recognizing and respecting the humanity in the other for us to even begin to look at the issues. And so much in New Thought philosophy and Science of Mind and in Centers for Spiritual Living, I know for years many of us have been in this idea that this philosophy is about possibility thinking and claiming the good and looking for the things that are working. And I read a passage earlier this week from Ernest Holmes where I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically says, if you believe that this philosophy is about saying that things are good when they are not, about calling injustice justice, about calling things that are wrong right, then you've taken this philosophy at a misconception. That he says we claim that the source, the idea, the underlying current below all things is good, and that it is always moving towards the greater good. But that it is, when we look at circumstance, it is for us to see and to choose what is right, for us to choose the good, for us to participate in creating it, not to just declare the good in the face of things that we see that we know are not. And so I also want us to remember how powerful this available moment that's in front of us truly is. As we've been dealing with Corona, we've continuously been speaking about the idea that there's something that's captured our collective focus. There's something that is holding the attention of all of humanity. And we know that any time a group of people focus on the same thing at the same time, a great possibility emerges. More is available than is equal to the sum of the parts. Something beyond the collective emerges from within it. Jesus said, "Where two or more are gathered, there I am also." And in this moment, millions and millions and millions of people around the planet are focused around an idea at the same time, which means that something must come of this. And it's not surprising to me that the events of the last few weeks have emerged out of the events of the last couple months. We have set the stage so perfectly for ourselves to experience a ripple effect and a domino effect of all of the change that is necessary. In the stillness and in the quiet and in the sort of stir craziness and in the waiting of Corona, all of our attention that's usually distracted by the rat race and trying to keep the world going has quieted. And we've been able to see things as they are. And then we witnessed the death of George Floyd. And it's clear that we have not been able to remain silent since then. That when we're not distracted and we see what's happening, we see clearly what we must do. And so from the stillness of the Corona experience, we all witnessed this moment. And together, we are now opening into what to do next. And I want to highlight the fact that there are millions and millions and millions of people across the United States and across the world who are marching and protesting and demonstrating in peace. There has been violence and there has been chaos, but the vast majority of what's happening is people rising up in peaceful protest and demonstration to stand for the world that we want to see, to stand for what we know is right. And every one of us must participate. Dr. King also said that it is not the actions of the oppressors or the bad people that's appalling. It's the silence of the good people. And so I want to invite all of us to remember that this is the moment that we must stand for truth. This is the moment that we must stand for what we believe in. That remaining silent is choosing the side of the oppressor. And that if we want to see a world that works, we must declare it, we must choose it, we must speak into it, we must step forward into it together, and we must create it. We must make a choice, each one of us, to declare the truths that we know and be willing to live in them fully. And I've been thinking on another line of thought that I want to share. As I watch the nation and the world cry out the name George Floyd, and as I see the signs and the posts of the lists of names of those who have been lost to the police violence and the race violence in this country, that we continuously remind ourselves to say their names, to remember who they were, and to speak out about their lives and remember that they matter. And I'm reminded that in ancient Egyptian philosophy, the Egyptians believed that each one of us dies twice. We die once when our spirit leaves our body, and we die a second time, the last time someone says your name. And the thing that we can do to keep the souls, the spirits, the energies of those who have been lost in this fight alive is to continuously say their names, to continuously remember that their lives mattered, to continuously remember their stories and who they were, and to keep their names circulating as the reminder of what we must do. And I'm also reminded of a practice that comes from a tribe in West Africa, and unfortunately I'm forgetting the name of the tribe at the moment. But in this tribe, there is a belief that when a person dies, it is the grief, it is the expression of grief in their community and from the ones that loved them that lifts them up to heaven. And so what I see as I look out into the world is this collective moment of grief, where we are lifting a soul up in celebration of the truth of who they were and the life that lives within them. And so I want to invite us to be in the energy that is happening in the world right now, to participate in the lifting up of the change that we want to be, of the change that we want to see, of the lifting up of the lives that have been lost, and remembering the connection, remembering the soul, remembering the spirit that lives within each individual being and the source of life that connects all of us. We live in deeply interesting times, and I truly believe that we are in a great moment of change, and that there is a tidal wave of movement that has begun. And we in Centers for Spiritual Living have been claiming our global vision and declaring that we want to see a world that works for all. And I want to remind all of us who have been holding that vision that that is what we are seeing emerge in front of us. That all of the chaos of what was and of what does not serve, and all of the pieces of a world that does not work, have to fall down, have to be pulled apart. We have to see them for what they are. I've been saying since January that I believe that 2020 is the year of clear vision, that 2020 is the year that we see things as they are, that we see the truth of things. And seeing the truth is not always easy. Seeing the truth is not always clean. Seeing the truth is often a difficult task, and sometimes it's a messy one. And I believe that we get the opportunity, each one of us, to say yes to the emergence of a world that can work for everyone, and this is our opportunity to stand up for one of the ways that it must change in order for it to bring itself into existence, and for us to say yes to it, and for us to participate in the building of it on every level. And so I invite my Centers for Spiritual Living Santa Cruz community to be in the reflection of this week, to be in the awareness of the movement that is happening in the world, to be in the awareness of the tidal wave of change that is coming, to be in the awareness of the emergence of a world that can work for all, and a willingness to look at the things that are not working and give them the power of our denial, to speak truth, and to banish that which no longer serves. You know, we get the lesson from Jesus when he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Metaphorically, metaphysically, what he's saying is that we must look directly at the thing that we see that does not serve and banish it, to send it back to the nothingness from whence it came, to tell it to move itself behind us so that we can see a new way forward and move into a future that works. And so each one of us must look at the systems of oppression, the systemic racism, and the roots of those things that we have held in place in any way in our own individual lives by our passive or active participation, and begin to do the deep self-examination to see where our threads of this great tapestry that each one of us have influence and access to, that each one of us has a piece of what is needed. And so there is a world that wants to emerge in front of us, and I believe that each one of us is holding a piece to the puzzle. We may not have the picture on the box, but together we can figure out how to build it piece by piece by piece. So if you will, just take a deep breath and let go. And on the screen, there's a list of names. And these are many of the names that have been lost. Names of the lives that have been lost in the last few years to this experience of systemic racism and police violence that we've seen in our country. And in Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a tradition of something that we do call the chamber prayer. And so the invitation with these names on your screen as we go into prayer, if you are able, if you are willing, wherever you are, that instead of closing your eyes, that you silently or out loud read this list to yourself while I lead us in a moment of prayer. And so if you will, just look at the list on the screen and take a deep breath in and let go. Taking another deep breath in and letting go. And take another deep breath in and let go. And I invite you to read while I pray. And so right here and right now, I recognize that there is one life that is eternal, one life that is unextinguishable, one life that stretches through all of time, past, present, and future, one life living and breathing everyone and everything. I claim, know, and declare in this moment absolutely that one life is ever continuous, and it manifests in, through, and as each and every one of us, as every life on this planet. God, and only God, is the one who breathes us. Each of us, the breath of life, each of us being breathed by God. And as I recognize this is the truth of myself, I recognize that this truth, that the God of the universe is the one who animates every soul. I claim, know, and declare that truth about George Floyd, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, Tanisha Anderson, Tyree Crawford, Eric Harris, Oscar Grant, Walter Scott, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, who would have been 27 on Friday, and Tamir Rice, who would have been 18 this month. I recognize the power and the love and the divinity that lives in every human soul. And so here today, let us just be in the awareness that healing is happening on planet Earth, that which no longer serves us is rising up to be seen and sent away, to be left in the past but remembered, so that we move forward and build a world that works, a world that recognizes that Black lives matter, a world that recognizes the right to breathe must be a basic human right. And so let us together surrender our hearts, our minds, our actions, and our choices to the knowingness that there is a power for good in this universe that is greater than we are. It is evolution, it is love, it is forward movement, it is progress, it is expansion, it is the way of life. And let us claim, know, and declare today that this thing that we call God, that we call life, that we call love, makes itself known in, through, and as all of us, as one collective human family. And so it is. Thank you, my friends.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering. Minds creating anger, fear and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger and violence, clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with the chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear.
Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Wanna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, on this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here. Well, now, that's just the story of three souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace.
Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes. The human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain that violence never pays, injustice never stays. It's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? We already know the way, so let's all lead the way. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Come on now.
I will carry on.
I will carry
Yeah, I will carry on.
I will carry on.
After we're gone,
Long after we're
the
gone.
roots of the tree we plant will be strong.
Yeah, come on. Yep. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
Makes me wanna sing now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We shall overcome.
Make a change, we gotta push much farther. 'Cause I'm
Someday.
feeling it deep in my heart.
Deep in my
I
heart,
do believe.
I do believe.
I do believe.
We shall overcome someday.
Come on, put your hearts together. Here we go. Woo! I knew it. God had a plan for us to do it. To hit rock bottom before we rise and continue. To first learn greed before we learn to be human. To do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our chorus, cause we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way.
We shall overcome.
Wow. Thank you. That was Daniel Namad and Nemo in their partnership, Empty Hands, singing We Shall Overcome. I would only add that someday is today. So let's go ahead, and this is our weekly affirmation that I would love for us to say together. Today, I speak truth to untruth, love to hate, and compassion to pain. Let's say that a second time. Today, I speak truth to untruth, love to hate, and compassion to pain. I want to thank you for joining us today, and I also want to thank you for all the wonderful financial support that everyone has been providing to our center so that we can be here for you during this time. I know that although we are separated by space, that we are together in heart. And so I want to thank you for being with us, for being part of a community, for showing that our community is more than four walls, is more than just this beautiful, beloved building that we inhabit here on 1818 Felt Street. And so thank you for your donations, for your words of encouragement. I'm so grateful for this community that can be a beacon of light in a time of turmoil. If you'd like to donate to us, please, there's several ways that you can do that. You can mail a check. We check the mail every day. You can use our Givelify app. You can text to give, or you can go to our website and donate through PayPal. Thanks again for your support. I also want to thank the amazing artists that have been joining us by way of video. This week we had Amber Darlin, and of course Nemo and Daniel Namad, and I want to also thank Elisha Christopher, who was our speaker today, for his words of wisdom that I know resonated with all of us. I have a couple of announcements to share with you. Every day, Monday through Saturday, we have a Zoom call at 1 o'clock, and we're taking the Thursday Zoom call to be a time for us to come and have conversation about anything that's up for you. It's an opportunity to catch up on what's going on with the center. If you want to know how we're doing, how the staff is doing, what our plans are, we are beginning to shift and move our way back into being in community together. So you'll want to keep up on that news. But there's a lot up in our country right now, in our world, as a matter of fact. And so the Thursday Project to Connect will be an opportunity for us to have a conversation about that, for whatever's come up for you, whether you want to bring wisdom to the call, perhaps you have inquiries or questions. It's all open, and it'll be a safe place for us to share together. So join us on the Project to Connect call, Monday through Saturday, but on Thursday, that'll be a time for us to really talk together about our community. We have a couple of other announcements to share with you. While we are beginning to move back into the center, it's going to take a little time, and so we'll keep you abreast of that. The first wave of people we'll be inviting back to our center are those people who haven't been able to join us for the broadcast. So we'll be calling them to let them know that they can come and what the requirements are. And then the next wave of people that we'll be inviting is anyone who feels comfortable being in public. We will have the social distancing guidelines. They're actually physical distancing guidelines. We have two of our members who are spearheading, making sure that we have all those guidelines in place to keep you safe. And just as an aside, if you're out in the grocery store and you see some hand sanitizer and you would love to bring some to the center, we could use some extra supplies. As you know, it's short out there in the world. So that's that news. Wednesday night, we're doing spiritual practices. I refer to this as a Taizé service. It's an opportunity to do some meditation and some prayer. A lot of music, and it's really a time to dive deep and just allow your heart to be opened in a relaxing atmosphere. It goes about 30 minutes, and that happens every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then after this broadcast, bear with us. It's the first time that we're going to be jumping onto Zoom from the broadcast from the center, but if you get to the room before we do, just enjoy each other's company. And then finally, please go to our website for any additional information. This month's theme, we're talking about mindfulness for Mavericks, and it really is time for us to be Mavericks at this point in our global evolution, I'll put it that way. I'll be speaking next week, and we'll be here on the broadcast at 10:30 a.m., so please join us. And I hope to see many of you in the Zoom room after the service in the fellowship room. The number's on the screen along with the password. I'll see you then. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.